I've got a dynamite script. So if anyone is looking for like a really, really good script for leads that are like a decade old,
Find all those and fix them. It helps to like take people's advice from completely separate industries and be like, how can we apply it to this? Yeah.
you can have an on-demand ask a broker question through ChatGPT based on your bylaws.
This tactic worked for this person in this business this way. If I was to apply it, where are the gaps?
Like that's crazy that you can do that like that
Yeah.
quickly.
If you drew a floor plan on like a napkin, took a picture, upload, and said, turn this into a proper floor plan, it could do it. This is the first time an image generator I've been like, okay, I can actually see how to use this in a lot of cases. Shout out to Anthony Brown. Anthony reached out a couple weeks ago saying if we ever need a guest host last minute, he would be happy to join. If you remember, he was here a couple months ago with Taylor and I, one of the best on the phone there is. And I messaged him about 3 minutes ago saying,
And that was last minute.
"Yeah,
That was last
you
minute.
came through." We're just sitting here. I was gonna do the full hour just chatting at my screen, so I'm glad you're.
Listen, man, I'm glad I could save them all from that.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear me that much.
How you doing, bud?
Good. How about you?
Good, man. Doing well, doing well. I just jumped off another call with a client there and hopped right on here.
I appreciate it. So, how's the like start of the year going for you business wise?
Good. It's been interesting. So we have like a pretty crazy single family market right now, like
Yeah.
12, 13 offers on anything that's priced well.
Yeah.
And then like a pretty soft condo market. So like the condo market, there's a bit more inventory,
Yeah.
a bit easier to get into. So it's kind of two different tales of the story.
Yeah. And just for people who don't know, Anthony, he is in Halifax. How big? What's the size of your team now?
So we're six.
Nice.
Yeah, six with 2.5 admins.
That's pretty good. And now I'm curious for you because this is an interesting setup for a lot of different teams. How do you structure it? Like, do you have strictly buyer agents, strictly listing agents, or everyone kind of does a lot of their own, like a mix of everything? How do you set that up with your team members?
Yeah, so right now I kind of have a team that operates itself. Like I've been as big as 11 selling agents and 3 full-time support staff,
Yeah.
and as small as 4 selling agents with 1 support staff,
Yeah.
and kind of everywhere in between. So right now we kind of run it that everyone can run their own business the way they want. I do have one agent that does specifically buyer agency stuff for me. So
Yeah.
like a lot of our photography, inspection, showings, things like that. But she can still list and sell on her own outside of that.
Yeah. That's pretty good. And then
Yeah,
I'm for like, how much do people on your team like are they calling leads? Because I know like you obviously great on the phone. Do you do like
yeah.
more ISA style, or do you just have like everyone on the team calling as well?
Everyone can call. So I was distributing all the leads kind of on like a rotational basis.
Yeah.
So I have had like a call structure where like every agent was on duty for like every morning, every afternoon, every evening, 7 days of the week. I've had rotation where leads just get funneled through to agents, whoever answers the phone first. I had 3 unlicensed ISAs that did calls for me. I found that no one could do it like me.
Yeah.
Like there was no one that could convert leads like me. Now I think I don't know, I still love calling leads. Like that's my jam, right? You know
Yeah.
that. So I think now I probably call more than anyone else on the team, and then we'll convert leads and hand them off to the team as they're ready to book a buyer call or a showing or something like that.
So you basically call most leads that come in and just get them to that point where they're like borderline ready to sign. They just need that in-person meeting.
Yeah, and we're also doing a lot of AI stuff right now. Like I'm doing a lot of AI lead follow up and
Yeah.
AI stuff with the leads. So like we're putting people on AI driven drip campaigns where based on their behavior on our website, they're getting certain communications from us. And then I mean it's crazy, man. So Zillow in the States has like some crazy AI driven
Yeah.
lead follow up stuff that they're doing. Like it's wild.
Yeah, we're looking at I have it out to like test. I haven't gotten it to the end where it's like an AI receptionist that can do inbound and out call inbound and
Yeah.
outbound calls for you. But it's one that I've heard from people actually is like one of the ones that can start to like have better tone in the voice because that's a lot of them is very dry when you do the AI voice ones. Like they don't have inflections and things like that. So I've this next one to try, but I've heard it's pretty good. So
And
it's
like it's
interesting.
weird because the online lead world is a tricky one to navigate, right?
Yeah.
Because people don't want to be hearing from you every single day
Yeah.
until they're ready to transact. But at the same time, they're going to use the agent that's most convenient for them to use when the time comes for them to transact. So it's this weird kind of balance of how often do you touch people, how often do you
Yeah.
text, how often like we're doing a lot of video messaging now, so how often are they getting a video message from you versus how often are they looking at houses on your website?
Yeah.
How often are they going through and looking at every single picture on a listing? Right.
Yep.
So we kind of have it set up. So if they look at, the same listing a certain number of times in the same day or the same listing a certain number of times in that same week, if they look at every picture on a listing, they kind of get the communication that makes sense
Yeah.
for that behavior.
Now, I'm curious for you because like obviously I know you're great when a lead comes in. Let's take it's a 30-day old lead that said, I don't know, I'll probably be like a couple years away.
Yeah.
What is your systems at that point for that keep in touch of like this is a long-term lead that was generated at least a month or two ago?
Yeah. So I mean, the biggest thing is we're sending them relevant properties every day.
Yeah.
What we found, like again, I've been doing this for, I don't want to age myself here, but I've been doing online leads for, the better part of a decade and a half.
Yeah.
And I have yet to find more than, I don't know, a few dozen people that have ever unsubscribed from getting houses or condos in their inbox. Like people generally like properties if they're relevant to what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And then kind of like anything that adds value. So what we try to do is instead of spamming or like, the general homeowner quarterly newsletter,
Notarize your
that's
home.
yes, stuff like that, or what was one I saw? The 5 colors to put in your home to make it sell quicker in 2025. Like the 5 colors to paint your house to make it sell quicker. Come on. But like I feel like that stuff is kind of has been played out over the years.
Yeah.
And the more intel that we can get on these people, like, and again, we have 17,000 people that use our website all the time.
Yeah.
But when we do have a good, meaningful conversation with these people, if we're keeping notes on if they have a dog, if they have kids, where they live, what their interests are, and then if you come across something that might be relevant to what they're doing in their life and you send that to them instead of the quarter, and listen,
Yeah.
nothing against people that do the quarterly homeowner newsletter, I'm not bashing that, but if
I
you
will.
can send people how to spend quality time with your dog
Yeah.
at the off leash park in the neighborhood that they live close to now, people generally like that stuff more.
Like, well, I'm curious this one that you tried because like you got how many listings in a typical year would you have as a team roughly?
40 between 45 and 50.
Like right there alone, I would just like let's say you have a four-bedroom home coming up in like the northwest. I don't know the neighborhoods in Halifax.
The northwest side of the
The
town.
northwest. Like I would just go to everyone who's looking for a four-bedroom home in that part of town on your list and just be like, hey, we got a listing coming up in 3 days. Four-bedroom home in this part of town. Do you want the details? Just to like those old leads. But
Yeah.
it forces them to reply to have that conversation with you. I'd be like, yes, I want that. As opposed to just like, here's the link to the listing, check it out. It's we got this thing coming up. It's not available yet. Do you want the details though? And that just gets them having that conversation.
And see that's what you hit the nail right on the head there. If you
Yeah.
if you don't attach any pictures or any
Yeah.
address or any price, but you say, "Hey, I was chatting with you a couple months ago. You said you were looking for a bigger home with a
Yeah.
big yard. We have something coming up. Are you still in the market? Are you still looking? And you send that out, you're much more likely to get the response than if you include the listing or the pictures of that,
Uh,
right?
we just had a comment here from Ryan. Your website link on realtor.ca doesn't work.
My website
He
link.
was looking you up. He said on realtor.ca.
Yeah, we just converted from KV Core to Bull Trail, and it's been an interesting journey. There's been lots of things that have been kind of broken along the way.
Yeah.
I'll check that out after.
Yeah. Was
Thank
it
you.
because you had to ask Anthony that one?
Yeah, so hfxhomes.ca, dartmouthhomeprices.ca, yourlocalrealty.ca.
Yeah.
I'll have to look. We are going through a bit of a transition from KV Core to Bull Trail.
A
It's
fun
been
day.
a thing.
Yeah, because I just tried to ask Anthony.ca and get error 1001.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely got to get
And
that going.
then our website the other day, so I was doing a training at our head office, and the website was working, but it wasn't pulling over any of the properties from our IDX feed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
So you're
been
having
some
fun.
things. Yeah,
No,
it's always fun.
yeah.
It'll be great once it works. Once technology works, it's always great.
Yeah. We had a similar one recently where we were like changing up our website. It was like a brand new website on our end. But like some of the old pages, they're not linked to anymore, but like they were out there. And someone is like reaching out about a package, being like, I'd like to like buy this from you. I'm like, that doesn't exist. Where'd you even find out about that? It's like a 4 year old package.
Yeah,
It turns out we didn't like put the page into drafts, or it was just like we changed the URL like as like the name dash old. And yeah, no, that got found still.
it's funny though because so through this whole KV Core to Bold Trail
Yeah,
transition, I discovered so we were like Commissions Inc.
yeah,
years and
I
years and
remember
years
that.
ago. Like I
Yeah,
used Commissions Inc. for a long time, and then when we ported everyone over, apparently there was like 4,000 or 5,000 leads that came from our old platform into our KV Core,
yeah.
and they didn't port over properly. So when KV Core switched to Bold Trail, it came up there was like these 4,800 leads that had never been contacted, and they just popped up as like new leads. And I was like, holy cow, like this is crazy. Like we didn't spend that much money on Google this month.
Yeah.
So we were going through, and
Killed
there's
it.
all these leads, and I'm talking like going back people from 2014,
Yeah.
2015 that were searching for homes in like the $250,000 price range.
Did they get any like messages sent to them?
No, but
That's
what we're doing, so we're going through. My
yeah,
goal this calendar year is to call them all. And
yeah,
I've got a dynamite script. So if anyone is looking for like a really, really good script for leads that are like a decade old, um, we've been having quite a bit of success with this, like converting people with actual interest that were looking on our website 10 years ago.
yeah. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So we've been calling them up and just saying, hey, it's Anthony calling from Royal LePage. In the past, you've been using one of our real estate sites here to look at some properties in the Halifax area. Just curious, are you still looking at homes in the area or have you moved on? And then if they say, yes, we're still looking, you just go into your script. And if they say you moved on, you say, oh, did you find something? No, we didn't. Oh, well, what happened? And it is, man, it's
Yeah.
such a it's just such a turnkey script to use.
It's almost like the 9 word email. You're just doing it over a phone call.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So for you, when you're looking at like 4,000 old leads like that, how long would you expect that for you, like to take you to get through that?
That's within the calendar year. So my
Yeah.
goal is by the end of 2025, I want to get through all 4,800.
Yeah. And then you just start back at the beginning next year.
Well, I'm hoping that whole backlog
Yeah.
will be gone because we're still like the new leads are still coming in at the same
Yeah.
rate that they were before. We just have this massive list of people. Now we are going through. So I found a couple ways you can filter. So you can basically scan your email list for
Yeah.
any emails that'll bounce back as invalid.
Yeah.
So you can run a quick scan through to get any invalid emails out. And then we also did a scan of registered landlines.
Yeah.
So I think like I read a stat from 2024 that only 45% of landlines in Canada actually went through to a phone that was connected to them.
I could see that.
And I would say that's probably more like 30% now. So when we go through and flag a number as a registered landline, we're typically only calling it 3 or 4 times before we're moving on.
So one other thing you can do with the invalid emails, because I ended up doing this and it worked well. So take the list of all the ones that they say aren't good, put it into ChatGPT, and say,
Yeah.
scan this for like common misspellings. And then I give the examples like Gmail with two L's or Yahoo with an extra O.
Oh, okay.
Find all those and fix them and then re-upload. So like I did that with a list of 12,000 and we saved 400 emails for that way. Because a lot of the times it's like those really simple misspellings. So you just have it scan the list quick. So instead of like having my assistant manually go through 10,000 records to scan them,
Yeah.
I just like,
So
yeah,
did you export it to a CSV file, like take
yeah,
it into a Google Sheet,
yeah,
and then you took all the email addresses from the Google Sheet,
yeah.
put them in ChatGPT, said, "Hey, scan these," and then boom, back in your CSV file?
Yeah, so they will even be out,
Oh,
they'll even give
smart.
you the CSV as an output.
Smart.
Yeah. So it worked.
Okay.
It was just one of those things where I was just like, I wonder if it could do this. And so I didn't even know at the time that ChatGPT could even give you the output of a CSV file. But I was like, worst
Huh.
case, I try this and nothing happens. And yeah, no, literally found 400 that were those little mistakes and yeah, got them all
Interesting.
back up. It was pretty good.
That's smart, man. I tell you, I've become borderline obsessed with ChatGPT. I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
So every time I do like a personal email, so like usually Tuesday mornings and Sunday mornings, we're doing like 500 to 600 emails that go out to
Yeah.
our leads, depending on what they're doing on our website. A lot of them are automated, but we do some like individual emails.
Yeah.
And I'll get ChatGPT to like depending on how I'm feeling that week. So like one week I got the ChatGPT to do an email as if I was Harvey Specter. I did Grant Cardone once. I did Barack Obama. I'm like, hey, if I was Barack Obama talking to leads on my real estate website,
Yeah.
what would my email sound like? And ChatGPT will give you like an email from Barack Obama. It's wicked.
So I started doing it as like counsel. So I'll like pick four or five experts
Yeah.
and then I pick someone to lead the advisory council. And then be
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, I want to see their like, and I make it like simulate a discussion of how they arrived at the perfect email as a group.
Who's in your council?
So it changes depending on the task. So like,
Okay.
say I'm writing an email, or no, so like a blog post as an example on my website. I want Joanna Wiebe, who's a great copywriter. I want Talia Wolf, who's a conversion expert. I want Ryan Dice, who's a very
Mm-hmm.
good digital marketer. I want Rand Fishkin, who's a really good SEO guy. And then I'll typically then pull together someone like Bob Iger as like the person who leads the council that they report to like
Okay.
bring it all
The,
together.
the
Um,
chairperson.
yeah, and then sometimes I'll make that Steve Jobs. I've made it Bozoma St. John. But I kind of just depending on the task, I go find like, okay, who are four or five experts related to the different components of something like that? Because I want
Yeah.
them thinking about SEO. I want them thinking about conversion. I want them to think about emotional storytelling. I also want them to have the bigger picture of marketing in mind. And so I'm like, okay, if let's pull all these together and say like I want them all to agree that the final output's a 10 out of 10. It's like show me how they would go about thinking so that they all felt this is a 10 out of 10 message that goes out.
That's cool.
And that's it's because like normally it's like okay, if I just have Joanna Wiebe, who's a fantastic copywriter, it's good. Like it ends up with a very good output, but like ChatGPT obviously doesn't know everything about Joanna. They just know she's known as like an emotional driven copywriter.
Mhm.
But that's all they focus on is just putting emotion into the copy. But then this one's okay, emotion into copy that also is going to likely to convert them. This one's going to be looking at how does it bring them along the path, and this so it brings those perspectives in and narrows them together. Um, and it's made my output way better for that.
It's so cool. I like
Yeah,
even so I'll like kind of vary like I'll be like, hey, I don't want this email to be
yeah,
salesy. Like
yeah,
make this email more of like a counseling, like, let's have a conversation about real estate.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hey, I make this a hardcore sales email, and
Yeah.
it's phenomenal, the difference.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, the one that I've done sometimes is like, so I'm subscribed. It's not even really a secret email. I just have a separate email that I don't use to talk to people with, but it's like for all the newsletters I get from
Yeah.
like people I want to see all their advice. And if I like see really good advice, but it's say for like a gym instead of something that I'm doing, I'll go paste in the concept and be like, rewrite this advice if it was for a marketing agency or for a realtor or that. And it like, and I was like, and give me two more variations. And it helps to like take people's advice from completely separate industries and be like, how can we apply it to this? And little things like that have been good because I'm always looking outside the industry to like find cool things to try. And
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, now take this advice or this tactic worked for this person in this business this way. If I was to apply it, where are the gaps? Like where would it fail? And then I kind of play around with that. And it can,
And do you put that into like a closed loop on ChatGPT, or are you just copy and pasting?
so I'll paste in their, like, I'll just take their entire email that got sent to me, like the
Mhm.
piece of advice, and I paste that right in as like context. And then I put my instructions in after that of what I want. And then I just have a conversation there. And then I'll take it out into a Google Doc. Then I'll go edit it myself. Because
I think that's really cool.
yeah, like to this day, I never like just straight copy paste what comes out. I always still edit it. But what the other thing that's helped me a lot there to make it, I have to do less editing, is when I finally finish it, I go back to the chat and say, here's the final version. Because then the next time it'll be closer to my final version.
Yeah, it'll tailor its response to
Yeah.
you.
So just
I can
over
always tell,
time.
like, the agents or the admins that are copy and pasting straight from ChatGPT,
Oh
especially
yeah.
with property descriptions.
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
Oh, like my if I go on Facebook, like all the people who are just like, especially like recruiting agents,
Yeah,
like you can spot those on
yeah.
the Facebook feed. Like there's not like all. And my favorite one, I saw one recently where their entire post was around not using AI because it removes the personal factor. Except I'm like 99% sure
It was
that the post was
done with
clearly
AI.
written by
Uh,
ChatGPT. Because they were like trying to make the point of like it removes the personality behind it. And I was like, but there's no personality in this post. This is clearly a like no actual person sat down and just pumped this post out.
so
Like,
I have a follow-up question to your, like, if say, let's use the gym example again,
yeah,
right? So you get a really, really cool email, like, advertising a gym, trying to get
yeah,
you to sign up, be a member. You're taking that, copy it, putting it into ChatGPT, and saying, like, hey, ChatGPT, I really like the concept of this content.
yeah,
Can you show me what it would look like if this was
yeah,
done for my marketing company?
yeah.
Is that what
Or
you're
even
doing?
as a for a realtor. So sometimes I'll also apply it to a realtor just to help me give me ideas for clients. But it'll be that idea of like, okay, I like what they're doing here. Or it's just like sometimes people give you kind of like general advice that isn't applied to any specific industry, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
get those emails like Alex Hormozy and Dean Jackson
Yeah,
are pretty good examples where like a lot of emails with advice, but it's not tailored to you. So I just take that advice they give and then say, tailor this to me. And so it
that's
takes
cool.
their concept and personalizes it. Craig says, can you take copy and put it into ChatGPT and ask if it created it or would it lie? So it won't know if like another person on ChatGPT created it. Um, it will tell you if it thinks it was AI, but it can't know for sure. I mean, the easiest way to tell, like if they're just straight copy and paste, is M dashes and way too many emojis.
Yeah.
Like that's the dead giveaway. So like I will actually instruct it not to put either of those in. It's like that those are the dead giveaways. And like outside of a few like copywriters, no people actually use M dashes. Like almost
M dashes, and if you look, like, almost every adjective is different. So it's
yeah,
like there's so many different adjectives
yeah,
used, whereas most people would use at least a similar series
yeah,
or a similar combination of them.
yeah.
But
And it just
ChatGPT uses like a whole. range of them.
And it just like it flows a little too smoothly.
Hmm.
Like it's just kind of this and because a real person writing has a little choppiness to it.
Little up and down, yeah.
Yeah, because like it takes like if you want to have a really smooth, well polished piece of copy, like you're gonna sit a lot of the time and like refine that and work on it. Most people posting on Facebook or Instagram or sending an email out aren't spending hours polishing down to that degree to get it there. So that's also the sign that it's just ChatGPT. But like you can literally like this is a bigger issue for schools where because like what some teachers were doing is they're taking people's essays, putting it in and saying, "Can you tell me if this is AI written or not?" But what students were started doing is they would just then take the what the AI wrote, feed it back in, and say, "Now rewrite this in a way that an AI couldn't tell."
Yeah. Make this not AI.
Yeah, and then it rewrites it. So like the other easy one to check is there any personal anecdotes about like from the person's life, right? Because
Oh
like
yeah.
that's a dead giveaway that it's not. Is like they told a story that is like very, very personal to them. But this is also where like I will sometimes use ChatGPT as like I will write out something, have it polish it, or I'll like do an audio interview like this, take the transcript, put it in, and then have it based on the transcript. So it's still all my words or your words, but it's just taking them and putting them into that version for me.
It's funny though. So I've been in the process of writing a book over the
Yeah.
last, oh my goodness, since more than 10 years.
Yeah.
And since ChatGPT, I've been writing a chapter and
Yeah.
then putting it in ChatGPT and getting feedback. And the whole premise of the book is written for my kids, and it's a story about them as they grow up. And ChatGPT now is telling stories about my kids
Yeah.
as
And
they're growing up as part of the book, like it's adding into the book.
yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's good when you're own because it just remembers everything
Yeah,
that you wrote in and it can pull it back in. And that's like the way you can set up projects now. I do that a lot. So like different projects that we do will get their own area now. So I can be okay, I know for this thing, everything's gonna be here. And I just want to go in because it's gonna remember all the context, remember all the stuff. So another interesting one I did recently is it was doing work for a real estate coach, just like testing a few things out. And I started using like Greg Popovich as my consultant. And I was just curious how it was actually probably one of the best instances of that I've ever seen. Like it took this a completely different type of coach and applied concepts from that to the advice that was coming through. So I was like, okay, now I really just got my mind going of like, all right, how else can I get like super creative with how I apply this to it?
yeah.
And yeah, it's like using, but I've always found instead of saying like act as a copywriter, act as this, act as that, it's here's the specific person, act like them. Is this all ChatGPT Pro? I think it's actually the plus. Because I have like a business version of it, so like my team can all use it too, and we have like custom
I think
GPTs.
mine's pro. I think
Yeah, like
pro
the
or plus.
$20 a month one, that's more than almost everyone needs.
Yeah,
I think mine's a couple hundred because I have team, like a team based one. And like
and
the reason we
it's
have a
really
team
cool.
one is custom GPTs. So what I'll do, like I have one that my team can use called Write Like Andrew. And I basically trained it, like I took a ton of things that I've written, put it in, had it analyze my style, so that if they're writing something that's supposed to be me, they can then put it into that after and it rewrites it in my voice. Now my editing time on their work has been cut by like 90%. Because I still have to go in and edit it a little bit
Yeah,
because it's still not going to do perfect. But like it used to be, they would send me the copy like an email. I would go in, make a few suggestions and changes. They'd go change it, and we'd go back 4 or 5 times, and it would be a slower process. And then I just created this thing called Write Like Andrew, and now it's like
so
maybe
cool.
one back and forth. Like it's cut down a little, and then we do that for clients too. So like we'll now do like an intake call where we like get on Zoom with a client, and I'll have my AI record it, and then I can just take that transcript, put it into a custom GPT trained on them, and then we just say, okay, isolate the like parts of the transcript from the client. Now, when we're like writing an ad, we'll also put it through and be like, now make sure it sounds like them too. Because it used to be a lot longer with a new client to get used
Yeah.
to their tone of voice and stuff like that. Whereas now, like the amount of first drafts that get approved that much faster. Pretty good.
A really good hack for like any managing brokers, managing associate brokers, or brokers of record out there. If you do a closed chat GPT and upload as a PDF your entire commission or board's bylaws,
Yeah.
you can have an on-demand ask a broker question through chat GPT based on your bylaws.
So I actually built that for a provincial association, a custom GPT on all the provinces' regulations. So
Nice.
we went and we took all the like just the straight regulations, but then we also the key that made it finally work was adding all the associations like did you know frequently asked question docs. And that was when it finally like that got it to about 95% of the way. And then we just had a couple like the real stickler people that they knew go in and test it out. And every time they found like something that was wrong, we just gave that feedback back to it. And now it's pretty solid. So
And so you did one for every jurisdiction in Canada?
no, this is just one provincial association asked us as
Oh,
a
okay.
test to
I got
do
you.
it with them. So like it's one of those. It's the problem with it, just as like from an association level of like say rolling something like that out, is it won't be perfect,
Yeah.
and their legal's gonna be way too concerned about the liability of advice that comes out that way. So it ended up being something because we if it had gone to like if it was perfect, we would have actually then just like resold that process to every association
Yeah.
in North America. But legal is too nervous to, which I get completely, because you got to be very careful on the liability. So like even that one that we made, it every time it puts an output that has like advice ends with, but you should still consult a lawyer.
Yeah. Asterisk. This,
Yeah,
this is
every
not
time.
legal counsel.
Yeah. But it's like every single time you have to mention that, no matter what it is, just add it in, not to be taken as legal advice. But
So
good.
where do you see AI going? If we can already do everything that we've just talked about in this conversation, where do you think it's going?
I think pretty much anything you would have to do on a computer, it will eventually be able to take over for you. And even over the phone for the most part too. Like where I see like especially with realtors is like scheduling showings is going to be the easiest thing in the world. Like it will go and call even if it has to, and like schedule the showings, and then it can create the map for you and send it to your like do all that busy work behind the scenes that just
Yeah.
gets everything booked. And then it can do things like, yeah, it'll eventually be able to perfectly write up the offer for you. Like you almost become the strategist and it's the tactician, right? Like that's where you're gonna go. So I think like junior agents, junior admins, stuff like that, those roles are going to be a lot different. So like right now, you have three admins. Like once this is fully like perfected, you could easily cut that to one or zero. Yeah, like it's like I was listening to a law firm that was it was a podcast and a lawyer was on it and he was like, yeah, like when we have ChatGPT do the research and do the work, it's about 80% accurate now. 85% accurate, or I forget if it was like 85 or 90, whatever number around there.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then I will go in and fix that remaining 10 or 20% or whatever it was. And they're like, well, isn't that still a problem? He goes, well, my junior lawyers are never more than 70%
Yeah.
accurate. Like,
Yeah.
so it's already better than all the junior lawyers and like days faster. So he's like, yeah, like you still need to know it, you still need to do it. Where this is the problem is going to become is those junior lawyers aren't going to be able to get that same level of experience now.
They won't be
Right.
able to get to that
Yeah. So
level
like
because
there will
they
come
don't
that
learn. Yeah.
time where people with the like hard earned experience, it's like the issue that some really young people now, like Gen Z coming into the workforce, they don't know computers like millennials and the Gen X do, right? Because like we saw it as it was like terrible and like each iteration, so we kind of know how it works. They just like grew up from an iPad, which was already personal. Like when something for them doesn't go right, like I saw one. Like, have you ever seen the memes over the years of like someone who gets upset because like their boomer boss doesn't know how to combine a PDF but makes three times what
Oh
they
yeah,
do. It's
yeah.
like that's coming back now of like watching the Gen Z struggle to even how to split a PDF because they've never had to do anything like that before. It's like it's an interesting kind of watching that happen where I think that's almost what will happen down the road is like the kids coming up today, if they're just using ChatGPT to do their essays and doing all that, they're not going to know
They
how
lose
to.
all their creativity.
Yeah, so I think they're going to have a harder time kind of making that switch later on.
But
So
I was
great.
there was an agent that had they changed like the paint color in the living room, the bedroom on their listing.
Yeah,
And basically there was like a picture of an ocean beach and they changed it to like a picture of like the Olympics.
that
So
was
you
me
like
yesterday.
was that you? I thought that was an agent that posted it. That and you had was it the Sidney Crosby goal?
Yeah, that was me.
Was that you?
Yes.
And you made the wall red.
Yeah, so I literally just went online, found
Yes.
like an empty picture of a room, and it was like I think it was like a flowery thing and like a blue, light, very light bluish gray wall. I just said
Yeah.
as a test, like make this wall red behind the bed, and then change it to Sidney Crosby's
Sidney
game-winning
Crosby.
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, like obviously the game-winning goal was not it at all. Like he was number 82. If you actually look closely, he didn't really even have a head, and like
Well,
arms
I
are only
obviously didn't
kind of
look
there.
that closely because I thought it was a real estate agent.
Yeah, no, that was me. I appreciate it. Nice to know that it's my brandings and everything's coming out. But I was like, as you're describing this, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're talking about my post. But
But
that,
like that's crazy that you can do that like that
yeah.
quickly.
Oh, like we did another one where we took an empty room and I said, like just stage this for me. Perfect virtual staging. And then I just switched. I want more color and vibrancy in it, and just complete like it painted the whole room in different colors. The couch went from like beige to orange, and like then a complementing coffee table that was also very colorful. Like just completely changed it. So like I like what I might even consider doing at that point would be like, let's say you have like a vacant fixer upper, go and do like 5 virtual renovations, and just have be like, and like for inspiration in this brochure, here's some ways you could do this room. Or if a client's even just thinking of like, I don't like the paint in this, send them some photos and just go change the paint for them and be like, here's what it could look like this. Here's what it could look like this. The one it didn't work on, I tried this last night playing around with it. I took a photo of someone in the family who said, change the hair from blonde to chestnut brown. I was just like, just curious what it would do. It also changes their whole face. Like it just makes a different person. So it doesn't work yet for people that way, but for like a room, it's like basically perfect.
But you made me think of something when you were talking about like the potential renovations idea. Like when you're
Yeah.
saying like, here's what you could do with this space.
Yeah.
I think there could be something there.
You can also take a floor plan and turn it into like a 3D model. It doesn't come out perfect, but you could also like another one I tried earlier today was I took a property survey and said stylize and color this. And that
Yeah.
created like a more stylized property survey. Again, you have to like double check the accuracy that the output and all that stuff. But like even the little one of like if you drew a floor plan on like a napkin, took a picture, upload and said, turn this into a proper floor plan, it could do it.
I wonder if you had like single family detached house
Yeah.
and you said, what would this look like if I split it into 2 units?
Well, while we're talking about it, let me try one.
Because that would be interesting, right? If you had a single
Yeah.
family detached home that had the right layout, that it could be an over under set of flats.
Yeah. A single family detached home in Halifax. All right. Well, I'll see what that creates, and then I'll go imagine that same lot with 2 units on it. And we'll see what it does.
Interesting.
Might be terrible. Um,
Yeah, but it might not be. It might work.
yeah. Like it's gonna be one of those ones where you're probably gonna have some issues. But no, like just all the little tests we've been doing, like 'cause a lot of it's right now is just like trying to think of different things that you could do with it. And it's just putting it in and seeing what happens. So it's been pretty good. Um, yeah, it's trying to. I know they throttled the image thing because they didn't even realize how many people would be using it when it came out. Um, Like I think the CEO of OpenAI earlier today was like, our GPUs are literally melting. We have to throttle how many requests people can put in for the next little while. So it's pretty good. But yeah, mine is going through. But I'm just curious, anyone else here who's live? Have any of you tried the new one yet? Just out of curiosity, the new image stuff. Because you can also do like infographics. So that's one I haven't actually tried yet. I wonder if I put in the board stats, like took stats from a board, put them in, and had it auto create an infographic, how it would do. All right, hold on one sec here. Uh, Here's the initial image it's coming out with. It's still not done, but how's that look for like a Halifax single family home?
Yep.
Accurate?
Yep.
All right. Now imagine on the same lot, two smaller units instead. Let's see what it does. I might need more detail than imagine the same lot, two smaller units instead. But for a quick one, we'll see what it does. But I think the other one that you could easily do here, for example, like I did this one earlier as a test today, is be like, okay, now put snow on the lawn or take snow off the lawn.
Takes no off. Yeah.
Put a for sale sign. I tried one with put a for sale sign in front, and that's where it screwed up. Is it extended the lawn halfway through the driveway and then put the for sale sign there. So it's still like you still find those little issues, but like if you just looked at this, most people wouldn't even realize this is AI. Like that's the big
Yeah.
difference. Like I played a game with my brother earlier yesterday where I sent him a couple photos. I was like, which one is AI? And he was only able to tell because like the front door, they did a weird double arch thing with the AI one that didn't really make sense as something you do. And that was the only clue. It was just like that little design thing that was a little off. But otherwise, like quality wise, you couldn't tell. But yeah,
So
pretty cool.
I took a little single level home in my area that was just listed this morning,
Yeah,
and I got AI to like lift it and add a second story,
yeah.
and it came back and asked it if I wanted just a straight second story built up or if I wanted dormers. So I said put some dormers in. So it came back with an image for me with the dormers, and then I asked it to put another half story on top, and it got pretty carried away.
Yeah, well, it's pretty good. But yeah, like these are going to be pretty small, that of two units, but it's an interesting way to approach it. Yeah, same lot. It's not perfect.
It's cool though.
Yeah, no, a lot of interesting use cases now to start playing around with. Is this the paid
Here,
version? Yeah. So,
do I have screen sharing capabilities, buddy?
uh, we'll find out. I think so. There you go.
Okay. So I took this single level tiny house
Yeah,
and asked ChatGPT to put on a second story with dormers, and it
yeah,
came up with this. And then I said, "Hey, can we go like another half story above that?" And we have a mansion.
yeah. No, it's not bad, eh? Like that one didn't come
Ah,
out like photorealistic, but there's some like that
this
that
one's
great.
not bad.
No.
This one's a bit of a stretch, but the first one's not bad.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like because one that we have to run a lot of is like ads in areas where people don't have a photo of that type of house we want. So we can just put
Yeah.
it and be like, find me one like this, green lawn, do this. And like, yeah, no, it's this is the first time an image generator I've been like, okay, I can actually see how to use this in a lot of cases. Like there's some, and now it's just going to be a lot of like, I went on Twitter and I just started looking for what other people were doing with it to get come up with ideas, and that's pretty good. Between this and the copy ability in there, the quality, like no one has an excuse now to put out a bad ad on like a paid Facebook ad. Like any excuse is gone. So I'm gonna look at I actually I have some other ideas. So because like the other one I saw someone do, which I haven't tested this yet, is they took a piece of paper and like rough drew a concept and wrote in like, okay, this rectangle I want to be like a piece of cash. And then I kind of like drew around it and I want, okay, that draw around it, I want that to be flames coming off the cash. And I want this to say next to it. And then it was like created a YouTube thumbnail that was like, are you burning through cash when you shouldn't be? And it just like went from like normally you'd have to go pay someone 50 bucks, 100 bucks to go design that. And they're like piece of paper and 30 seconds on ChatGPT and they had the
Yeah,
same quality.
done
Like
deal.
yeah, it's like the kind of lower end of a lot of the creation. It's gonna be instant now. But that's where the big one is, like the lower end of stuff. Like I would still hire a professional designer for brand work and like serious stuff, but just for pumping out specific situations. One we used it for yesterday as a test was just like the featured image in a REM article because we were struggling to we have a lot of like paid stock subscriptions, but sometimes there's just nothing that fits with an article. And it was like it was going out that day. We hated every choice, so we were just like, I kind of wish we had something like this. And I was like, let me try. Couple iterations and came out with like one that was like, yep, that's exactly what we want.
So I'll show you one that's a bit extreme. So I just playing around with this vacant lot,
Yeah,
and I said, "Hey, can you put a house on this lot for me?" And said, "Do you want a big house or a small house?" I said, "I want a big house." And there's the house.
looks like Halifax.
Yeah, that's like every average home that sells in my market. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I got like three of those listings right now. Looks great in the winter too. But yeah, it's pretty good, eh? Well, it's this is like the I talked about this once with Taylor of like when ChatGPT kind of launched and started getting really good, I could see the end of a lot of agencies
Yeah,
because there's a lot of marketing agencies that are like just like a guy with a laptop and they're not that they're like good copywriters necessarily, but like they're better than the people that are being hired and they just want it off their plate. But like for the people who are like their business is essentially, I'm just taking this off your plate. I'm not doing it better. I'm just taking it off your plate. They're all in trouble. Like if you're not a true value add and you're just it's quick and easy, so give it to me. This is going to be quicker, easier, and just as good.
and it knows more about everything. Like the stuff that we use it a lot for is like tailoring like a YouTube description or like
Yeah.
YouTube hashtags or like what hashtag should we put on this Instagram post. Like it's so good with stuff like that.
Yeah, I do a lot of just like brainstorming or like I'll paste the whole article in I've written and be like, okay, give me 20 ideas around a title.
Yeah.
And then I'll be, okay, take that one, give me five more. Okay, take this one and that one, combine them. Okay, now give me five. Like, and then okay, got that one. Now let's do the meta description. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do that. And what used
And
to
it's
take me
really good
like,
like you said with the combine them.
yeah,
Chat GPT is really really good if you tell it to take some things from this thing and some things from that thing and mix them together. It's
yeah,
really good at that.
yeah. Sometimes though, I go too much down this rabbit hole of like combining and playing it. I just gotta start a new chat because it starts remembering things from before. It's like, no, okay, I can't have any of this. By the way, with the image generator, I've learned this. Sometimes it's like, oh, this goes against my content guidelines or something like that. I just then open a new chat, start it over, and they let me do it. So that's all it takes. You just gotta like restart a new chat where it's like forgotten that it was against the guidelines. Super
What
simple.
so what would go against the content guidelines if you were like
So it doesn't always make sense. Like, so for example, the house that I staged, that I did with the Sidney Crosby photo and changing the color, I said, and make it a race car bed. Like change the bed to a race car bed. And the first one came back with like that goes against our guidelines of around like children related stuff in a bedroom. I was like, not really what's happened. I understand. I
Yeah,
appreciate that you guys are overly on that
yeah,
side of it.
not really.
Super appreciate that. So then I just started a new chat, put the thing back in. I said, make this a race car bed for an adult.
It always
And then
a
it did.
king size race car bed.
Yeah. But it's like, and then there was some where I was like, out of curiosity, I was like, all right, take this screenshot of like a show and make it a cartoon. And I just wanted to kind of see what it could do. And it was like, it did one and it got something about the character wrong. So I just replied, and was like, fix this. And it goes, oh, goes against our content guidelines to like edit images of a show. I was like, well, you already did the first one. And so then I just took the output, put it into a brand new chat, and just said, I didn't say it was related to the show. I was just like, change the eyes to that color. And it did it. So it's just like sometimes if it says like, or like you can't do Pixar inspired stuff.
Really?
So sometimes what I'll do first is I'll be like, if you were to ask a ChatGPT image generator to create something that was like similar to Pixar without using the words
But
Pixar,
not
how would you
Pixar.
describe
What would
it?
you say?
And then it does it, and I just take that prompt, go into a new chat, and say, create this image with this. And now it creates it and does it in that style. So it's just kind of like finding those little ways to essentially get around it. But
I'll
you
tell you
could,
what's good for anyone watching that does a lot of YouTube content. If you film your video and throw it into Chat GPT and say, "Hey, I'm trying to target sellers in this area with this video. Make me my thumbnail, description, hashtags." Phenomenal. Like it
yeah.
hits the nail on the head every time.
Yeah, you got to go really deep on context of it, right?
Yeah.
Like the analogy I do like when I'm on stage talking about it is I'm like you have to treat it like a high school intern. Like they
Mhm.
don't know anything, but if you give them everything, they can do it. So like they need all the context, they need your goals, they need what they're supposed to be using.
Yeah.
Um, and the other one I started doing recently is like we were doing this thing for a someone targeting realtors with their ad. And we were like, go first and like search realtor forums for all their questions related to this topic. And it just went and pulled how they were wording it on the forums, like their most
Yeah.
commonly asked questions. Now, okay, now with that in mind, write the ad. And it pulls in their exact words into it. And that's when it started really doing well. The one I'm going to try soon that I haven't in a while is I'm going to export all the keyword data from like the Google Keywords Planner into like a CSV and
Okay.
then have it act that way of like actually go through the data and find the best opportunities.
Like find the best keywords to use.
Yeah, because like but that's where I'll go and like find a keyword expert who's like known
Yeah.
as like that expert. Like have them analyze this and see where are the biggest opportunities for growth
Okay.
and start like speeding up that. And I'm gonna like what I think I'll do is I'll do it myself first. Then I'll go have it do it, and I want to see how close they are and see if they uncovered things that I couldn't. Because it's like
I like
when
that.
ChatGPT first came out, I could always beat ChatGPT copy every time.
Yeah.
Like any ad I wrote myself, I didn't get beat. It's getting close. Like it's getting very, very close now with the right prompts too. Like even to a couple times I've been beat now.
And
So
it's tricky, like for the people that are just kind of getting started, you
yeah,
really have to get used to how to use it before you can use it
yeah,
really well. Like it
and
took me a while to know how to phrase things going into ChatGPT to get
yeah,
the right things out of it.
yeah, and the other one like if you're just starting out, ask it like just go into ChatGPT and be like, how do you write a good prompt to get the best output, and it will just tell you.
How can I improve our relationship,
Yeah.
ChatGPT?
Or
How can I make you
yeah,
a better AI?
write the prompt you think you want to put in, and then say, make this a better prompt to get me a better output.
Yeah.
And like, if you need extra information from me, tell me instead of just writing it. And it'll be like, I could use this, and this from you. Then you just paste it in, then it'll write it, and then you go. Um, and then Heidi, yeah, we're mostly talking about using the paid version of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you can get away with the free one. The image generator, they just said today, is going to be limited to three per day on the free version. which depends on how much you want to play with it. I probably burned 20 last night just turning my kids into cartoons. They thought
Great
it was
use of company dollar. Great
they
use
thought it
of
was the
company
funniest thing
dollar.
in the world. Like I take like a photo and then they start doing like crazy faces, tongues out, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they thought it was the funniest thing.
The
Um,
biggest difference I would say, like since I got the paid version, is it knows what I typically need more information on, and
yeah,
it will ask me for more because it knows me now.
yeah,
It kind of says, hey, tell me a little bit more about this, knowing that I didn't tell it enough initially.
yeah. And yeah, there's so many good opportunities with stuff like this. So
Oh,
um yeah, we could probably go on for hours.
well, I think we already did.
Yeah. And we are over time now. So as always, I'll stick around for a few minutes after. But if you're watching the recording, you have to come live because we normally turn off the recording, then go on for another like 10 minutes.
It's
But
better live
Anthony,
anyway.
super appreciate you jumping in last minute and filling in. That was great. And so didn't have to listen to me for an hour, just talk.
Yeah, and I can stick around for another few minutes too, buddy. I got about another 27
Perfect.
minutes before my next call.
Awesome. All right. Let me stay tuned next week. I'm gone. Taylor's jumping in. I'm forgetting the person's name that he has coming in, but someone who's doing really well on YouTube. So if you want to get business from YouTube, come next week. And come either way, but I won't be here. So I'll have to catch up on it afterwards. But stick around if you're here live. We'll stay on. Otherwise, appreciate you guys coming, and we'll see you next week.